Blood pooled beneath Jack Harmon's body as the combat simulator powered down. His vision blurred. 3 broken ribs, punctured lung, dislocated shoulder. The metallic taste of blood filled his mouth. Simulation complete. Human subject failed, announced the cold mechanical voice. Jack coughed and rolled onto his side. The other cadets, massive aliens with armored skin, extra limbs, and natural weapons, stared at him with a mixture of disgust and curiosity. He was the only human in the room. The only human ever to enter Predator class. Still alive, Softskin? A Vraxian warrior towered over him, 9 feet of muscle and bone plates. Most impressive. For prey, Jack wiped blood from his chin and stood on shaking legs. I'm not prey, the Vraxian laughed, a sound like rocks in a grinder. 3 months earlier, Jack had been drinking himself to death in a bar on Mars Colony when his comm unit buzzed. The message changed everything. Application to Predator Class Academy. Approved. It was impossible. Humans weren't allowed in Predator Class. The elite training program was reserved for the galaxy's apex species, the natural-born killers. Jack had applied as a joke after losing his wife and daughter in the Centauri conflict. He never expected to get in. He later learned the truth. An overworked Saurian clerk had filed his application in the wrong system. By the time the error was discovered, galactic law required them to honor it. 1 human would enter the most brutal training program in known space. Jack's transport docked at the Orbital Academy station 2 weeks later. The greeting committee consisted of hostile stares and whispered threats. Humans were considered barely more than clever animals to most of the species here. This way, human, hissed a reptilian guide, leading him through corridors built for creatures twice his size. Commander Drazkul wants to see you personally. The commander's office was a trophy room. Skulls from a dozen species lined the walls. Jack noticed there were no human skulls in the collection. Not yet. Commander Drazkul rose from behind his desk. His scaled skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that signaled his rank. 4 yellow eyes blinked independently as he studied Jack. So this is the mistake, Drazkul said. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. A human in Predator class. Your species isn't even classified as a secondary predator. You're prey that learned to use tools. Jack stood at attention. With respect, Commander, I'm here to train. You're here to die, human. The first day of combat training kills 20% of qualified candidates. You won't survive the warm-up exercises. Jack met the commander's 4-eyed gaze. Then you have nothing to worry about. Drazkul moved with shocking speed. His clawed hand closed around Jack's throat, lifting him off the ground. I could crush your windpipe right now. Save us both time. Jack didn't struggle. But you won't, because you follow the rules. The commander dropped him. Jack landed hard, but stayed on his feet. Your bones will decorate my quarters before the month is out, Drazkul promised. Jack rubbed his bruised throat. I'm not here to survive, Commander. He looked around at the trophy wall. I'm here to win. Drazkul's mouth opened, revealing rows of serrated teeth in what might have been a smile. Report to Simulation Chamber 12 at dawn. We'll see what you're made of, human. Jack nodded and turned to leave. Harmon, the commander called after him. Why did you really apply to Predator class? Jack paused at the door. Because I have nothing left to lose. As the door closed behind him, Jack heard the commander's final words. That, human, is the only reason you might last a day. Jack's body screamed in pain as he dragged himself to his quarters after the 3rd straight day of training. His muscles felt torn. His skin was covered in bruises and cuts that the medical bay could only partially heal. The room spun as he collapsed onto his bunk. Still alive, human? Impressive. Jack looked up to see a tall, slender alien with iridescent blue skin leaning against his doorway. Unlike the others, she wasn't massive or covered in natural armor. Her eyes were large, almost human-like, but with vertical pupils. "Who are you?" Jack asked. "Kira, Arcturian scout class." She stepped inside. "We're neighbors in this hell. Why are you talking to me?" "Everyone else wants me dead." Kira's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. "My species is considered second-tier predators. Not quite good enough. I understand what it's like to be the outsider." Jack sat up, wincing. "Tomorrow is the gravity chamber. The instructor said it's designed for species that can withstand 5 times Earth gravity." "You'll die," Kira said simply. "Unless you cheat." "I don't cheat." "Then you'll die, stupid." She tossed him a small device. "Neural stimulator. It will trick your body into producing more adrenaline. You'll still suffer damage, but you might survive." Jack studied the device. "Why help me?" "Because watching you try is the most interesting thing that's happened here in years." She turned to leave. "Also, Commander Drazkol has bet heavily on your death. I'd love to see him lose." The next morning, Jack stood in the gravity chamber with 20 other cadets. The massive room had metal walls and a floor that could simulate different gravitational conditions. The other cadets looked at him with amusement. They were waiting for the human to break. "Begin at 2 times standard," ordered the instructor. "Increase by half every 2 minutes until failure." The gravity shifted. Jack felt his body grow heavy. He stayed upright while the others barely noticed the change. At 3 times Earth gravity, sweat poured down his face. His bones creaked. The neural stimulator pumped chemicals into his system, keeping him conscious. At 4 times gravity, the first cadet fell a massive insectoid, whose exoskeleton cracked under the pressure. Jack's vision narrowed to a tunnel. His legs trembled. Blood vessels burst in his eyes. "The human still stands," someone said with surprise. 5 times gravity hit like a mountain. Jack fell to one knee, but refused to collapse completely. Blood dripped from his nose onto the metal floor. 3 more cadets dropped out. "Enough," called the instructor. "Reset to standard." As the gravity normalized, Jack stayed on one knee, gasping for breath. He had survived. Barely. "Psychological profile testing tomorrow," announced the instructor. Dismissed. Later, in the medical bay, Kira found Jack getting his internal bleeding treated. "You survived? Using my device?" Jack shook his head. "I didn't use it." Kira's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Humans evolved as persistence hunters," Jack explained through gritted teeth as a medical drone sealed a tear in his liver. "We're not the strongest or fastest, but we can endure pain better than almost any species. That won't help in combat training. The Vraxians will tear you apart." Containment breach in the live specimen lab. "How do you kill it?" Jack asked. The station shook as emergency bulkheads slammed shut. Jack grabbed a medical laser cutter from a nearby tray and followed Kira into the corridor. Red warning lights pulsed in rhythm with the blaring alarms. "What does this thing look like?" Jack asked, limping behind her. "Like a shadow with teeth," Kira said. "It can flatten itself to fit through any gap. And it's fast." They turned a corner and froze. 3 cadets lay on the floor, their bodies twisted in unnatural positions. Their eyes were open, but empty, completely white. No blood, no wounds, just bodies drained of something essential. "It took their neural energy," Kira whispered. "Left the shells behind." Jack recognized one of the victims of Vraxian, who had tried to break his arm during combat training yesterday. Now he looked small, deflated. A crackling voice came over the emergency system. All cadets report to the central hub for evacuation. This is not a drill. That's the wrong move, Jack said. If everyone gathers in one place, that thing will have a feast. A scream echoed from nearby, cut short by a wet, gurgling sound. Jack pulled Kira into a maintenance alcove as something moved in the shadows at the far end of the corridor. It slithered along the wall, a patch of darkness deeper than the surrounding dimness. Where it passed, the metal seemed to frost over. The gravity controls, Jack whispered. Where are they? Level 3, Section 8. But we can't. We can. I have an idea. They moved through the station, using service tunnels' narrow passages that maintenance drones used. Jack's smaller human size was an advantage here. Kira had to crouch, her slender form barely fitting. How did it get loose? Jack asked as they climbed an access ladder. Someone must have sabotaged the containment field, Kira said. The system doesn't just fail. Someone who wanted to kill a lot of cadets at once. Or someone who wanted to kill one specific cadet and didn't care about collateral damage. Jack met her eyes. You think this was meant for me? You're breaking records, human. Some people don't like that. They reached level 3 as another announcement blared. 5 cadets confirmed dead. All security personnel deploy shock weapons. The gravity control room was locked. Jack used the medical laser to cut through the panel beside the door. Sparks flew as he rewired the circuits. What's your plan? Kira asked, watching the corridor. Void beasts evolved in zero gravity, right? They flatten themselves to move in normal gravity. Yes, but so what happens if we crank the gravity to maximum in specific sections? Create a trap? The door slid open. Jack limped to the control panel and began typing commands. I need you to lure it here, he said. Kira's eyes widened. You want me to be bait? I do it myself, but I can barely walk after the gravity chamber. A crash sounded from nearby, followed by the distinctive hiss of the void beast. It's coming anyway, Kira said. What do I do? Get it to chase you down corridor B7. When I give the signal, jump into that maintenance shaft. Jack pointed to a small opening in the wall. The beast won't fit if the gravity is high enough. Kira nodded and moved to the doorway. The corridor beyond had gone dark. The emergency lights flickered and died one by one as something moved toward them. Now! Jack shouted. Kira ran into the corridor, her blue skin glowing faintly in the darkness. Here, come get me. A shadow detached from the ceiling and flowed after her with impossible speed. Jack watched on the monitor as Kira sprinted down corridor B7, the beast gaining on her. Jump! Jack yelled into the comm. Kira dove for the maintenance shaft. The beast lunged after her. Jack slammed his hand on the control panel. The gravity in corridor B7 jumped to 12 times normal. The void beast crashed to the floor, its shadowy form suddenly compressed into a solid mass. It writhed, trying to flatten itself, but the gravity held it down. It worked. Kira's voice came through the comm. Jack increased the gravity to 15 times normal. The beast stopped moving. The metal floor beneath it began to crack under the pressure. The door to the control room burst open. Commander Drazkol stood there with 4 security officers. What have you done, human? He demanded. Saved your station, Jack said. That thing is trapped in corridor B7. Drazkol studied the monitor, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Impossible. No cadet has ever. An explosion rocked the station. The lights went out completely. What now? Jack asked. Drazkol's voice was grim in the darkness. That wasn't an accident. We're under attack. Jack could hear the station's hull groaning under stress. Hive mind, Drazkol growled, checking his wrist computer. 3 ships breached our outer defenses. Boarding parties have entered through the lower levels. Hive mind? Jack asked. They take over other species, make them part of the hive. A traitor? Jack asked. The beast will be free, Jack warned. They fear what we can do to them. Jack's mind raced. The maintenance tunnels. They connect the whole station. We can use them to move without being seen. Too small for most of us, Drazkul said, gesturing to his massive frame. Not for me, Jack said. And not for Kira. Drazkul studied them both. My son is trapped in the cadet quarters with 30 others. If you can reach them, lead them to the emergency shuttles on level 5. Jack nodded. We'll need weapons. That's Vex, the commander's son, Kira whispered. Jack removed the vent cover and dropped down into the room. The cadets turned, some raising makeshift weapons. I'm here to help, Jack said. We need to reach the emergency shuttles. Vex stepped forward. The human? Why would you help us? Because we're all cadets, Jack said simply. And the hive is coming for all of us. A banging sound came from the sealed door. Something was trying to get in. They're here, Kira said, dropping down beside Jack. We need to move now. Jack pointed to the open vent. Through the maintenance tunnels. Smallest first. The door began to glow red as something cut through from the other side. Go, Jack ordered. The cadets scrambled up into the tunnels, helping each other. Jack fired the plasma pistol. The first shot hit an infected saurian in the chest. It stumbled, but kept coming. The second shot took off its head. Brain stem, Kira reminded him, firing her own weapon. Come on, he called to them. A thin, worm-like parasite emerged, reaching for Jack's face. Jack fired until his plasma pistol overheated. 3 infected dropped, their brain stems destroyed. The others kept coming. He counted 7 more, blocking his path to the door. The pistol cooled enough for 1 more shot. Jack aimed at the ceiling instead of the infected. A plasma bolt hit a coolant pipe. Freezing liquid sprayed down, creating a barrier of ice and steam. His ribs screamed in pain as he ran. The wounds from the gravity chamber training had barely begun to heal. Cadets are heading for the shuttles through the maintenance tunnels, Jack gasped. I got cut off, taking an alternate route. Jack's blood went cold. The cadets? Kira reports they've reached the shuttle bay. But the hive controls the launch systems. Jack checked his location on a wall map. I'm near the central computer core. I can override from there. Negative. The core is overrun. Then no one gets out, Jack said. I'm going in. He shut off his comm before Drazquil could argue. The computer core was 2 levels down. The lifts were disabled, so Jack found a maintenance ladder and began to climb down. They relied on strength and natural weapons. Humans relied on cunning. 5 infected guarded the main terminal, 2 Vraxians, a Saurian, and 2 species Jack didn't recognize. All had the telltale cloudy eyes and black veins of hive infection. Jack had no weapon, no backup, just his human ingenuity. He removed his boot and threw it down the corridor away from the terminal. The sound echoed in a quiet space. 3 of the infected moved to investigate. Jack slipped behind a server bank and approached the remaining 2 guards from behind. He grabbed a loose pipe from the floor and swung it with all his strength at the first guard's brain stem. The infected dropped without a sound. The second turned, faster than Jack expected. Its clawed hand slashed across his chest, cutting deep. Jack staggered, but brought the pipe down on its head. Once, twice, 3 times, until it stopped moving. Her features were distorted by the parasite, but still recognizable. The thing that had been Lisa smiled, black veins pulsing across her face. No one dies, Jack. They join us. The other infected surrounded him. Jack's back pressed against the terminal. The shuttles are launching, he said. You've lost. We never lose. Lisa's voice had changed, becoming a chorus of voices speaking together. This station will fall, but you will carry us forward. A parasite emerged from her mouth, a writhing, worm-like creature reaching for Jack's face. Jack's hand found the reactor control panel. I'm not carrying anything forward. He slammed his palm down on the emergency purge button. Warning lights flashed. A computerized voice announced, Reactor purge initiated. Core meltdown in 60 seconds. The infected hesitated, confused by this unexpected move. Jack smiled through blood-stained teeth. Humans have one advantage over predator species. We're willing to sacrifice everything to win. The reactor began to glow beneath the floor grates. The infected scattered, their hive mind sensing the imminent danger. Jack slid down against the terminal, too weak from blood loss to stand. He activated his cum unit one last time. "Shuttles away," he reported. "Reactor purging. Station will be destroyed. Get to an escape pod." Kira's voice came through, desperate. "Too late for that," Jack said calmly. "Did the cadets make it?" "All aboard. Vex is piloting our shuttle." Jack closed his eyes. "Good." The reactor's glow intensified, bathing the room in blue light. The station began to shake apart. "Jack," Kira's voice broke. "Why did you do this?" "Because humans don't belong in Predator class," Jack said. "We belong in a class of our own." The reactor reached critical mass. In his final moments, Jack thought he saw his daughter's face, not infected, but smiling as he remembered her. The station exploded in a ball of light, taking the hive mind invasion force with it. 3 months later, at the new Academy location, Commander Drazkol unveiled a statue in the main hall. A human figure stood defiantly, facing impossible odds. The plaque read, "Jack Harmon, first human predator, last of his kind." Below it, a new Academy motto had been inscribed. "They filed the wrong form, and a miracle human showed us what it truly means to be a predator."